There you go.
Okay, cool. Wow. Excellent, Anne. Okay. Oof. Maybe. Can you make sure that everyone comes in so that you can do that? Okay. Yes. Let's see. Can you all hear me here? I only see Kristen. Let's change the view here. Ah, now I can see all your beautiful faces. Okay, cool. Are you all, hi Susanna, are you all being quiet? Or do I not hear you? You're all being quiet, okay. All right, so thanks for bearing with us. We've been just trying to do this new technology. I think we're streaming right now, so if anyone would like to not have their screen showing, feel free to turn it right off. So hi y'all. I think we have a few other people joining us, but it's just about 4 after. Why don't we, we'll start saying hello, and then as people come in, we'll welcome them in. So let's start off with our usual introductions. I can kick us off. I'm Emily Flint. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness for the City of Kingston. I use she, her pronouns. It's good to see you all. I'm feeling a little stressed about the technology, but we made it. I'm here. And I'm gonna pass it on to Sarah. Sarah, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I am Sarah Brainerd, outgoing chair at Kingston Land Trust, still a board member for a little while here, and focused on the Green Line and other travel well as live well things.
Can you pass on for me after you introduce yourself, if you don't mind?
Sure, I will pass it on to Barbara.
All right, it's getting set up here. Hi there, Barbara Hill, Alderman, Ward 1, City of Kingston, Chair of the Ulster County Community Services Board, citizen, family caregiver, taxpayer, etc. Hi. Oh, let's see. Katie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Sheehan Lopez. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the regional farm to school coordinator at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Ulster County, and also the chair of the Eat Well Kingston focus team. I will pass to Troy Ellen.
Thank you, Katie. I'm Troy Ellen Dixon. My pronouns are she, her, aya. I am the chair of Live Well Kingston Commission and involved in many other initiatives here in the city of Kingston. And I will pass it to Susanna.
Good evening. I'm Susanna Callahan, pronouns she, her, the Vice President for Planning and Community Engagement at the Institute for Family Health, and been part of Live Well Kingston and the Heal, specifically the Heal Well Focus team for many, many, many years. I should actually go back in my calendar and figure out when that started. And I've been on the commission for how long? A year and I guess a year and a half about. And I will pass it on to, I guess, Kristen. You were the last person, I think.
Great. My name is Kristen Kessler. My pronouns are she, her. Sorry, my light just turned off in here. I am the project manager for the Department of Health and Wellness for the City of Kingston, very specifically working on the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities project, which often overlaps with the objectives and activities of Live Well Kingston. And I think I'm it. I don't know, Emily and Marcia, y'all didn't introduce yourself, did you? Oh, sorry, I made you get up again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing that a lot. I haven't quite figured it out. I introduced myself. How about Marcia? You want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Marcia Sebo.
project manager for Health and Wellness Department of the City of Kingston. And I will pass it along to
Katrina, hey, I think everybody knows me. I showed up in person. I'm Katrina Williams with the Department of Mental Health.
Were you all able to hear that all right? Cool. It's kind of hard to tell. We're like yelling at a screen. There's something very bizarre about it. All right, so I think everyone who's here with us now has gotten a chance to introduce themselves. I'm gonna put a link to the agenda in the chat. Bear with me while I do these multiple things. I did change the agenda a little bit. I moved after Eat Well. I have, oh, maybe I put the March. I'm sorry. I think I put the link to the March meeting notes. If you want to, Sarah, that would be amazing if you don't mind doing that. Oh, thank you. That would come because it's a little stressful for me right now. So that would be extremely helpful. Next in the chat, I'm going to put the link to what I think is today's notes. That should be that document. Okay. And it's convenient because the first thing on our agenda is to approve March's meeting minutes, which was that first link. But what, yeah, Katrina, go ahead.
Do we have a quorum?
Not yet, but we might, now we do. Here comes Heidi. Yeah, I'm gonna stop that thing first.
No straight line to get here.
Come on in, Heidi, we'll let Heidi get a chance to put her stuff down. What was I gonna start to say? Okay, I wanted to bring up the open meeting law. So the governor did advance it for another month. So those calling in via Zoom still count as voting here tonight. So we do have a quorum. Again, I don't know if that'll be true for next month, but it's still true for tonight, which is great. So we do
Wait, so who's in the room with you? It's you and Heidi and is that Marcia?
Yep. And Katrina.
And Katrina, okay. Okay.
Heidi, if you've got a moment, do you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Can they see? Oh, yes, they can. I'm there on the top. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hello, son. It was wonderful. My name is Heidi Kirschner. I'm with the YMCA. Pronouns she, her, hers. What else am I missing?
That's it. That's it. That's it.
All right.
So, yeah, so we've got Heidi, Katrina, Sarah, Troy, Ellen, and Susanna. So that's 5 out of 9. So we've got quorum. All right. So moving on to our first agenda item. I could hear a motion to approve March's minutes. Does anyone have any edits or any discussion about March's minutes?
I didn't see any.
Any edits or thoughts to the minutes? Anyone want to make a motion to approve it for today?
I move that we approve the minutes of the March meeting.
And I'll second.
And Heidi seconds it. That's fantastic. All right, so all in favor, oh, unless Heidi, you want to abstain, or it's up to you.
Oh, was I not here? I was here. Was I not?
No, everyone was here but Sarah. Actually, Sarah should abstain. So then I can call for the note. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye, give me a thumbs up, put on an icon.
Aye.
Aye.
Here, I just didn't see Susanna.
Aye, I said aye. Yep.
Great. Okay, motion passes. The minutes are approved. Great. I didn't have any administrative matters except to say that we still have 2 open seats for the commission. So still, if you know anyone who would be a good fit for us, please recommend them to apply or connect them with me, and I'm happy to connect them with the process. moving on will be presentations. Katie Sheehan Lopez is here tonight to talk to us about Eat Well Kingston. Katie, feel free to take it away.
Sure. So this is just going to be a quick update. I was actually searching in my calendar to find the last time I presented at this meeting, and it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but I don't really know. So I'm just going to give an update from like the last couple of months, we'll say. So Eat Well Kingston has been meeting very regularly for like since we started, really. So it's been years. Our meetings are every other month. So every even month, and we meet the first Wednesday morning. We have been meeting virtually ever since the pandemic. That might change moving forward. But anyone is welcome to join at any time to get on the email list. Really, all you have to do is email me and I'll just go ahead and add you. So that's kind of our meeting schedule. We've also decided last couple of years, we've been operating under some general structure where we have a presentation from a community agency or different program that's going on around food or nutrition in the Kingston area. And then we have time for networking and discussion and any updates. We also always do an update on Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative and an update on the Ulster County Farm to School Working Group. And the reason for that is that those two things kind of came out of the Eat Well Kingston network. However, formally or informally, but have kind of turned into their own, I don't want to say entities or organizations because they're not really, but their own things or projects. So for the last couple of months, our most recent meeting was April 6th, so just a couple of weeks ago, and we had a presentation from the Kingston Food Co-op, which this was their second time presenting to us. They presented, I don't know how many years ago, but I want to say 3 years ago. It was definitely pre-pandemic. So it was really great to hear an update from Siobhan. Before that, we had, in February, our meeting was a presentation from the Farm to Food Pantry Collaborative, which is, that was Suzanne from Family of Woodstock. And then in December, we had Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation presenting on Feed HV, which is their platform for reducing food waste and funneling excess food into the emergency food system. And that was Brianna. So those are the last three. I could go back to find October if anyone really wants to know, but I don't have that on the top of my head. Our next and upcoming meetings are June and August. So we have discussed, and this could all change, meeting in person and going on a tour of the farm hub. So we, get to see the fields and hear a lot more about what they do. So this is all going to depend on COVID, on people's comfort level, meeting in person, on the weather. If we don't end up doing that, we will have a presentation from SNAP-Ed Rescued Eats, which is a SNAP-Ed project that's working on, getting excess food into the food system, into the emergency food system, and also talking about processing it. So a little bit TBA up in the air, and it really depends. And then in October, we have Seasoned Evolution. Tamika Dunkley will be presenting. And then we have a couple of open slots for, actually just one open slot for December. So if anyone has any suggestions on presentation topics that you think would be interesting or useful, please go ahead and email me and let me know. And if anyone would like to join a meeting, I'm happy to add you to the email list. So I'll put my email here in the chat, but I think probably most of you have it at this point. Whoops, I spelled it wrong. I'm sorry. So the update, and the other thing is we do have pretty regular attendance. We have I'd say like a pretty core group of 10 or so agencies that come, and then but there's usually around 15 or 20 participants that, you know, maybe come and go from different organizations or community members that attend the meetings.
Any questions for Katie? Any suggestions about Eat Well? Kind of open discussion about that?
I know that the elementary, why did my video go off? I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. I know that the elementary school next to the Land Trust property over on Grove Street does a lot of great things within their gardening and a lot of good programming with the kids. So I think that that one might be a fun, interesting kind of slant for the Eat Well, because it's actually getting that pulled into the younger education cycles. I don't know if you've done that in the past, but I can reach out and get you some contacts for those folks there.
So you're talking about the gardening, the Learn to Learn. Yeah. I'm connected with Jen, and she actually hasn't been attending the meetings, I think just because they are during the middle of the school day. And you're right, we haven't had them present. So that would be, I'll add them to my list. Thanks.
I think maybe close to that is the Hudson Valley Bee Habitat team as well. That'd be fun as well.
Hudson Valley. Yeah, that I am not connected with, so
Okay.
that'd be great.
I'll connect you.
Thank you.
Troy Allen, you got your hand up?
Yes, Katie, just wanted to let you know, Jen is no longer in Wilton. There's a new person. You should reach out to Jen at Land to Learn. I can't remember the person's name. I know the person who's going to be doing JFK in the other school, but
So Jen's not, she's still at Land to Learn, but not in the school, you mean?
not in
Got
the
it.
schools. I believe she's doing school programs, probably closer to where she lives across the river.
Okay, thank you.
A question.
Yeah, Susanna, go ahead.
Yeah. What are the, I guess the challenges that you guys are facing as agencies, you know, participating in Eat Well? What would you say some of the challenges have been over the last year?
The challenges just generally, or like in terms of Eat Well?
In terms of Eat Well, like the work that you all do.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think not meeting in person, definitely, like some of the, you know, great networking doesn't happen as much just when you're like kind of formally on Zoom like this. So it would be great to meet in person. And I think it also could be one of those things where, you know, we do have a lot of great participation and regular participation, but, you know, kind of being able to have a purpose for the meeting, but not like adding projects to people's plates with they're already full. And so we've kind of, when we worked on the action plan about a year ago, maybe, we kind of landed on communication and networking and information sharing as some of the main goals. And that's been actually working out really well. But I'm always mindful of not adding extra meetings and extra, like asking people to do extra projects that they may not have time and capacity for, because we've done that in the past and it's ended up fizzling. It's a very tricky line to walk.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Sort of pausing for any other questions. I was thinking we could sort of do an ad hoc KEFC update. I'm sort of looking at Troy Ellen maybe to fill in any gaps that I forget. I can say that KFC is still going strong, still delivering 160 meals every weekday due to our partnerships with the Everett Hodge Community Center, which is managed by the family of Woodstock. Groceries are still delivered every other week with Catholic Charities and People's Place partnerships. So that gap that was previously in our community where the delivery of food to people who are not able to get to food resources, that gap is still being filled by the KEFC. In our meeting today, the coalition voted to pursue becoming an entity through a fiscal sponsor. That feels like a real, what's the word, an anchor point along the timeline of the work that we've done. So we're sort of heading in the direction of the KFC actually becoming an official organization. That's pretty big. Troy Ellen, anything else about KFC you want to bring up? What am I forgetting?
Just want to say that if anybody knows of anyone who has capacity to do the work that we're involved in, we have Coalition in Capacity Building, which is, for lack of a better term, we are non-hierarchical, but it's sort of like the steering committee. We also have working groups, everything from direct service, which is direct distribution of groceries and meals, systems change, which is working on eliminating many of the challenges and barriers that contribute to food insecurity, education and outreach, communications, and production and procurement, because there is a lot of bounty here in the Hudson Valley, and we are working assiduously to get it to the people who need food. So if you're interested, I can put I'll put the URL into the chat as soon as I stop speaking, because I can't do two things at once. And the second thing is the fact, well, I can't do them well. And the second thing is, if anybody needs food assistance, please tell them to call the emergency hotline, which I will also put into the chat. And essentially, there are no requirements to get this food assistance, except to say that you need food assistance and to determine whether you want prepared meals or groceries. Thank you.
You answered my question. I was going to ask about the requirements. Wow. So wait, remind me who funds this again? Is it Novo?
Well, Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative has received funding from the Novo Foundation through the grace of Radio Kingston. Radio Kingston put forth on our behalf a special project grant request, and that allowed us to hire 2 part-time staffers as consultants, one of whom is working on direct service and one of whom is working on the education and outreach.
So I'm kind of curious. Do you do because the no requirements thing, because I've heard this in other settings as well, is a hard thing to sustain outside of private donations or donors. I'm curious if you do any data collection at all on who you're serving. And
yes, we do. I mean,
Okay.
we have information on, who they are, how many people are in the family, where they live. Many of them are not in permanent housing. They're in temporary housing, hotels in, Kingston and Kingston City School District, which is pretty much our, area of operation. I believe for one of our food partners, we do request birth dates of people in the family. But what I'm saying is, in terms of no requirements, they don't have to present financial documents that say need.
Right. It's not like WIC. It's not like WIC or SNAP.
Anybody who I'm looking at in this Zoom room right now could call up and say, I need groceries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying any of you would, because there are people obviously who have real need, but that has always been one of the distinguishing factors of the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative. People have called up recently whose refrigerators have broken down and all their food spoiled, and they need some interim help until they're able to get a new refrigerator and be able to replenish their supplies.
Do you have set items to give people, or is there like a menu that people choose from of what they?
No. Basically, the Hodge Center, and they're incredible chefs, cooks, all of them. They prepare meals on a daily basis, different meals, And so people will get the meals, and most of the feedback has always been positive about the meals that they're getting. From Catholic charities, they get everything from perishables, produce, meats, to canned goods, shelf-stable goods, and the same thing at People's Place in terms of it. So, I mean, the selection, obviously, people can select what they want if they go actually to the pantries. But the selection that is done by the, like, again, pantry shoppers in putting together all of these bags for people is a broad range of what people could select at a supermarket, for example.
Thank you. It's good to know.
Any other questions about that, about the KEFC? Katie, you also mentioned the Ulster County Farm to School Working Group. I think, I don't have it in front of me, but there is a meeting, I think, that they put out a doodle poll for. So that group does continue to meet. It's interesting that I'm sort of realizing that there's sort of like subcommittees in some ways, in the way that Live Well reports things up. Travel Well also has sort of subcommittees. So I'm just sort of recognizing that we want to, really the goal is to collect the information of the good work that's happening in the community and have it sort of be a reporting here at Live Well. It's not that we tell those different organizations what to do, but it's more like we just try to collect the information that they're doing. I saw a comment come in. Thank you, Troy Ellen, you're putting in the hotline for the KEFC in the chat. Any questions about any of that we've covered thus far about Eat Well Kingston? Anything else? All right. Thank you, everyone. We can always come back to answer a question later. Next on the agenda, I had a stretch break, but I'm actually going to pause on that. Kristen Kessler has to run for another appointment after this, and I wanted to give her a chance to present to us all about the Senate bill S7534. Kristen, do you feel ready to talk about that?
Oh yeah, I can share about it. So I think we might have brought this up last time, but I always have to run at 5. So I just put a link to, actually it was a press release that was put out regarding the bill. And I think this one is the most helpful to read. I mean, if you're really into reading legislation, there's a link to it as well in this press release. So this is a values-based procurement bill that Senator Hinchy's office has proposed. And the background on this is that the New York State has, oh, Emily, are you going to share it? Oh, someone's calling me. So the background on this is that New York State has some of the strictest procurement laws. And in particular, we have procurement laws that do not allow purchases of food through a bidding process that is not the lowest bidder. And so there are different institutions like school districts. We don't have a ton at the municipal level around here, but like counties that are purchasing food, whenever they put a bid out for it, by New York State law, they have to go with the lowest bidder. And so in recognition of the fact that there are different values that people hold around food and different values that perhaps we would like to see in a more equitable economy, that Senator Hinchy's office has proposed this bill that would allow institutions to select the next lowest bidder, not the lowest one, as long as it is within a 10% range based upon 7 different values. So I see she's scrolling along. If you scroll down a little bit farther, yeah, a little bit farther, these are the 7 values that are identified in the bill. So we've got environmental sustainability. It would allow if a producer like a farm or a distributor sources from producers that employ sustainable practices. I believe for environmental sustainability, I'm trying to think, that one might be very specifically registered organic with the USDA, which we can come to that in just a second. But racial equity, it's opening pathways for MWBE businesses. It's very specifically in the bill, and MWBE certified businesses, so you can think about that. Fair labor practices, local economic benefit. So it is actually within, I think it's a 250-mile radius to be considered local, which doesn't always actually mean within New York State, but they're trying to encourage the ability to be able to purchase more local goods. Fair price for farmers, nutrition, which is really just kind of focusing on minimally processed foods. There's not really strict nutrition standards necessarily that are written into the bill currently. And then animal welfare. So any qualified bidder that meets at least one of these values, the institution would be able to award the bid to that bidder if it's within 10% of the lowest bidder. I'm trying to think of, I feel like I was saying like a bunch of words and jargon. The idea with this, so I think that maybe Katie, you were in the Hudson Valley Food Systems, yeah. So the Hudson Valley Food Systems Coalition meeting that we had yesterday, we had someone from Senator Hinchy's office come in and share that the idea is that right now, this is just not even a possibility to be done, to be able to take these values into consideration. So they're hoping this is a first step by getting this into law. And then the idea is to perhaps expand upon it in the future. But right now they're just hoping to make it even allowable for local institutions to go with something that's not just the lowest number out there. So there's this bill. It is currently, it's currently in committee. They're hoping to be able to get it passed by the end of May. So they are interested in receiving any comments, any feedback, any suggestions within the next couple of weeks. And then just anything, if we want to send any sort of letter of support, if it's something that the Live Well Kingston Commission believes is really valuable, we can always send that in. They're also asking for additional sponsors in the assembly if it's something that you really, support and believe in. So we have a letter of support drafted that kind of highlights just it's important. This is potentially why the Live Well Kingston Commission would support this bill, and then potentially some considerations for the future that are a little bit towards the end if we would like to include them. And I'll pause there for any questions or comments. If you are familiar with the bill, feel free to jump in. I'll try to answer questions as best as I can from conversations that I've had to give context to it too.
And why don't I also talk about process a little bit. So Kristen has this draft letter, and I think we talked a little bit about how Hinchy has the deadlines a little bit. The deadline to probably submit it if the commission chose to would be before our next commission meeting. So we're having Kristen bring it here for you for consideration. And we sort of have in our rules a letter of support. Really, the chair and the liaison from the city can sort of decide when to do a letter of support. But we wanted to bring it to you tonight for consideration and feedback. And so we were thinking that we would like you to maybe review this document and give us feedback by next week if you would like to go forward with submitting this letter of support for the bill. So that's a little bit about process. So questions about any of the things that Kristen said about the bill, about the potential letter, anything there?
Does anyone have opinions on values-based procurement policies?
Okay, I don't know if you can see, I had my hand up, but I am familiar with the bill because of my work with KEFC. I get these things all the time. I think that it is a really strong and important step in the right direction, and I applaud Michelle Hinchy for bringing this forward. And I would encourage my colleagues on the commission to review it and consider favorably that the commission should submit a letter of support.
You want our response back to you within the week.
So the thought was, so the link to the letter is in the agenda. I can email it all to you if you'd like. And the thought would be to take a chance, when you get a chance to review it, let us know any edits or questions or comments. And then I think what I might ask of you tonight is to empower Troy Ellen and I to submit it on your behalf. With edits, basically. So if you want, we could do a motion for that effect, and that sort of makes it a little bit more powerful. Otherwise, we could set up another system. So that's sort of my proposal to you, is I could hear a motion from someone to empower Troy Ellen and myself to submit this letter on your behalf with any edits that we receive by next Wednesday.
I'll make that motion.
So I heard a motion from Heidi. Would anyone like to second it?
I'll second it.
Katrina seconded it for me. Thank you, Katrina. So then I'll call it for a vote. So all in favor to do as I just said, give me an aye, a thumbs up. I can give me a thumbs down. I see thumbs ups. Your ayes. I hear, okay, that was everybody. The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. That was pretty easy.
It's pretty progressive
Yeah.
of her to be doing that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great, so I'll email it all out to you and we'll look for any edits or feedback that you give us and then we'll send it out. So thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. I put the link in the chat as well, so you can, open that up at your leisure or in the notes. Just to highlight, there's support for the bill based upon, the mission of Live Well Kingston and promoting the advancement of a healthy and active community. Nutrition is one of the core values. And then that we are also a commission that focuses on the social determinants of health. So the other values are basically represented under that umbrella. The areas for consideration for the future would be to consider the 10% allowance over the lowest bidder, if that is something that they could possibly increase in the future, knowing that the true cost of food may be higher. That once the bill is passed, also considering additional costs that are incurred both on the production and on the purchasing side, since it does cost money to be able to get these certifications. So that's something just to think about. They're required to be MWBE certified. They're required to have an organic certification. So we want to support our producers so that it's not it's not exclusive to smaller businesses, smaller productions aren't able to afford that. And then also institutions that have really limited budgets wouldn't be able to have the additional purchasing power to even go 10% over. And then the racial equity is, it's an MWBE certification. So I wanted to highlight those things when you read it, but just, if you've got any other hats on, if you're looking at the bill and you're looking at the specific language, I feel like even if it's not something that's included in this current bill, coming from the Live Well Kingston Commission, it could be really powerful, and it could be something that they can keep in mind as they move their next phase, because that was very much the implication. That was their plan, was let's get this bill going, and then we want to make sure that we receive feedback on how to make sure that it is actually something that is impactful and equitable, and something that really does make a difference in the future. So if you want to include anything like that. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kristen. Thanks so much. All right. I was just sort of pausing to see if anyone was waving me down, and I don't see any. So that'll bring us up to Stacy's stretch break. I'm going to stand up and lead us through something. Feel free to do what feels good for your body where you are. As always, I always sort of just make it up on the spot. So I invite everyone who's at home or in front of the computer to just stand up. I love to do a stretch back and forth. I grab the outside of my wrist and pull it over to the opposite side. How about a little bit of a twist? So just putting our right hand on the back of our back and looking over our right shoulder. I don't even know if you can hear me when I face the other way. And then the other way, I put my left hand on my back and I look over my left shoulder, giving a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to do one big stretch up, and I love doing a bending over and sort of like sometimes touching my toes, sometimes not. And just sort of letting my neck and my head relax just a little bit, just to give your neck a little bit of a break. And then for my yoga days, I do a swan dive back up. And then I'll probably wrap us up here in just a minute. But how about a shoulder roll? Let's do a shrug, a shoulder shrug. These are all suggestions. Everyone can do whatever feels good for their body this moment. So I'm shrugging up and then releasing. I'm gonna do one more. I shrug up and I release. And that's it. We'll say thank you to Stacy with infamy, with promoting our stretch breaks. And I'll welcome you all back to join us on the agenda. And, oh good, looks like he jumped off. Great, I meant to tell her that she could jump off if she needed to. And Kristen and anyone else, whoever needs to jump off or anything, feel free to go right ahead. Next up on our agenda was a little bit of old business. So I was going to bring us back to our action plan. Heidi, do you?
Excuse me, Emily, Sarah has her hand up.
Sarah, go right ahead.
I was trying to find the hand button before we did the stretch. I just wanted to say I've been working on some things for my work-related life that have been leaning into the Medicaid waiver programs and all the other things that are kind of leaning into better health and institutional things that are happening in healthcare. And I know there's I'm trying to find it right now and I can't find it quickly, but there's like kind of the governor's mission, not just our governor, but lots of governors. And there's lots of language around the social determinants of health in and around food systems and this letter. So I might send you guys, you and Troy Allen, some snippets of language that I've found that are kind of frequenting the healthcare finance arena that might help with that letter. So just wanted to let you know, I might send, just because it's a big topic that I have 2 sessions on it this weekend in Arizona. So it's big. So I will send that off to you if I can before I leave.
Thank you,
That's
Sarah.
You're welcome.
All right, yeah, and sorry so feel free to jump in if I don't see your hand up, because it's sort of a new system. Don't be shy, everybody.
Yeah, I don't think we can see the hand icon on.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing
yeah,
the hand
that's
icon
specific.
right now. Right.
All right, we might have to figure that out. We might have.
Can you see the hand icon? I put my hand up.
No.
Oh,
That's
okay.
crazy.
That is weird.
All right, so I'll see if I can figure that out for next time. That's funny. No, not even on here.
Or do you see it on there?
I think we see it here on the laptop.
So maybe when you're casting, that's just one thing that doesn't get picked up.
Yeah, so and I'm still figuring the system out, so maybe next time we'll try to monitor it here. I don't know, we'll figure that out. All right, thank you all. So last month we had a discussion about the social determinants of health, which was great. And I wanted to sort of bring us back to this action plan for 2020. So this is the action plan for the commission. Each focus team, as you'll remember, have their own action plan. And this is sort of a way to organize our role here as the commission. And the part that I wanted to bring us back to, or we said we would continue our conversation on, was goal 2, supporting the health of our community. And it's a little bit of a catch-all. It's a way to keep space open in our goals for things that come up. And we had a little bit of conversations about maybe supporting some local veteran thing. I'm not sure what the word is, to maybe address some local veteran issues. And this is also a place where we talk about communications. So I wanted to bring us back to kind of finish this line of conversation and thought. My question to you all, I think, is, do we want the commission to have its own sort of projects, or should everything sort of go through the focus teams? So in one way, our focus teams are where the real work happens. And in other ways, a project or thought that happens at the commission level in some ways builds a community here in this space. So I sort of see a reason for maybe wanting the commission to do a project every year, or a special, or a series of conversations on a specific topic, a way to sort of have the commission be more than just a place for reports. So that's sort of open for discussion. Any thoughts there before I continue?
I'm new to the commission.
Just say that
My
again.
initial thought is that the action, like engaging the subgroups on the action planning process is like a tangible thing that you hold in your hands. That's a lot of, that's like task oriented.
Yeah.
So that alone seems like something substantial.
Yeah.
But not opposed to like additional action.
And I think it's at this commission level, I mean, if there's other things that come up, for us to do the exploration or the due diligence of, you know, what the issue really is, you know, find out more about it and see, you know, if there's, you know, dots that have to be connected or something that maybe needs to be, you know, channeled or directed or whatever. That's not at another commission level yet. So.
Because what are you thinking, Emily? What did you say before? Like an additional, you used some word, I can't remember. What were you thinking of, like, what else?
Let me say it another way. So we have the different focus teams that sort of have their topics, but my thought here is, so we've talked a little bit about veteran services, but we don't have a focus team that addresses veteran services. Having this place on our plan for the commission to sort of, so my thought is if we wanted to look at veteran services, that the next step might be to do a little bit of an assessment. I don't know, and maybe someone else here does, but I don't know what organizations are already doing those resources in our community. Maybe there's gaps there that need to be identified. So my thought sort of is, it could be, it doesn't have to be a project, but I guess that's sort of my thought is it could be a series of conversations. And this is a place in our action plan that allows us space to find out what might eventually turn into another focus group.
Right.
And I guess I see that at the commission level. Like it seems funny to me that like it might come out of Heal Well, but that Heal Well would identify a whole nother focus team that's needed. Feels like a lot.
It could be fall under any of the commissions, actually. You don't know until you kind of talk to, you know, the parties involved and say, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, surely there was something that elevated it enough for you to put on here, a concern that, you know, I think it's worth exploring.
I think that Sarah had some comments in the chat.
Sarah, do you want to put you?
Oh yeah, I mean, just leaning into this, I think it's going to be just like these specific things that we think of. Like we don't have a group that does veteran needs and deals, but there's got to be, maybe the commission's job is a little bit of that research, then to identify and then to put a game plan for it. And maybe that is forming a subcommittee group. Maybe it is asking our other groups to, like, us taking that information, data gathering, and then finding those needs. Maybe our job is just to find the needs and then build whatever those groups underneath would be and get more, you know, bodies and volunteers organized under each of those. So I could see either way. I'm not against, just like Katrina said, more work and more things to do as a commissioner, but I think our value to report up to the city and our constituents is the work of understanding everything as a whole, as an umbrella. So
yeah, I agree. And to add on to that too, is just making sure we're not duplicating any other organizations, like pulling together.
Yeah.
So like with with veterans, I don't know much about that population, honestly, and who might be pulling people together, or even, you know, I was just thinking back actually on the origins of the Live Well model in other cities. And, you know, it really was focused more once upon I mean, I don't know if it still is in these other cities, mostly on addressing chronic diseases and how to integrate health promotion into different settings in a community. And then we veered from that, right? So so it's like, how do you promote chronic disease through you know, through the older population, or for example, through faith-based organizations, right? So there's often a subcommittee or a focus team of Pray Well, right? So how do you promote positive health messaging through or practices in faith-based organizations? So I feel like, this group, we've gotten a little bit of veered from that, which is fine, but it's just a little different. So I would even suggest that we even think about populations a little differently too. Like faith-based organizations, possibly. I mean, I see a lot of people, serve a lot of people that might not be served. Or another way of thinking about this is, what are institutions that might serve people that might not fall into these other buckets?
All right, Ellen, you had your hand up.
I would also like to add that one of our colleagues on the commission, Malia, who is a major in the United States Army Reserve and an Afghanistan veteran, but is also chair of the New York 19 Veterans Advisory Council for Congressman Delgado, and has a lot of connections in the veterans world here in Kingston and Ulster County. And I think is someone who would be able to also, because the other hat she wears is she's the she's the chief of staff and vice president of strategy at BARD, would be able to tackle this and probably may already have an off-the-shelf document that could be repurposed for our consideration and implementation.
Another thought that's coming up for me is, often in our commission meetings, because it's a different group of people than in the focus teams, sometimes we get excited about new projects here in this space. And it also allows me in our goals for the commission to have a space for us to do that. Because so sometimes people are like, I don't know, Dr. Woodley would come and he'd be like, let's do this other thing. It'd be like, okay, that's great. We're doing all this other stuff. Where do I give us space to brainstorm that? And so, but my thought is that this work is so broad, and Marcia's heard me say this a million times now, it's so easy for us to go in multiple directions. So one thought is that every year we sort of choose one theme or one project or one discussion to sort of go down for that year. And in some ways, if a new commissioner comes in next month and says, I really want to do, X project, we'll say, thank you so much for that. We will absolutely consider it. For this year, we've chosen veteran services, and we're going to try to follow that thread first. And then come January or February, we sort of open it up to discussion again for the commission to reconsider how they'll support the health of the community, that theme for that year.
So I like that idea a lot, and I'm wondering, would then we sort of like try to infuse that in the subgroups too, like have maybe an idea or project that we want to manage, but also like really try to encourage the subgroups to embrace that as the theme and make sure they're working on it in some sense potentially?
I love that idea, and I think it could be even as much as like, so for veteran services, all of the health has all these different lenses, and how do they overlap? So in some ways we could say, eat well.
Yeah.
What are the food resources that are going to veterans? Could you spend one of your meetings touching on this?
Age well.
For age well. So it's so health is so interconnected that I love this idea that it's might not telling them what to do, but it's like, could you consider how this theme affects the focus that you have?
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. I'm looking back up at the screen for any thoughts. Anybody wants to chime in? Who's calling in?
I think that idea is nice to kind of not expectations, but the theme, that tone for the beginning of the year to say, can you make a milestone? Can you try to do something for this particular group or this particular effort this year? Maybe it's not a group next year, right? Maybe it's we want to perform, I don't know, something else. But I think that it would be good to kind of communicate to all the subgroups now, right? And to give them that goal for the end of this 2022 year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Cool. So it's sort of two questions that I've put out to you. So one, it sort of feels like we're all sort of maybe agreeing with this spot on our action plan to be considered, to always have space for considering other health issues that are in our community. So that sort of feels like that's question number one. So question number two is, what should this year's theme be? We've mentioned veteran resources. Is that in fact what you'd all like to sort of be our theme for this year?
Can I just jump in with a consideration? I
Sure.
put up my hand, but then realized that you can't see my hand when I put it up on here. Where's my microphone? Oh, I think my microphone's here. I'm all for having shared visions and activities and reducing mission drift, because I see that happen a lot in community organizations. Just wondering though about the idea of, this is something new that we're telling the focus groups to do, if we would like to figure out a system to include their voices in the theme. If in the past we haven't said, well, we have a theme, we are essentially assigning you to do something, if it would be nice to have perhaps the chair's representative in this conversation, so that it feels less like we're dictating activities and more of a collaborative, inclusive conversation.
That's not a bad idea, because in their work, they may come across something that they'd like to suggest for, further exploration or, projects to work on. It's kind of like a bottom up, top down type of decision process, so.
Could this be something that's a part of the reporting out that gets done in the fall, when the subcommittees report to this group? Sure, something that can come up then for
Eventually to the city.
2023.
Yeah.
The meeting in the fall, so that was sort of like a round robin that we had for the focus teams. Is that one?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's one I'm referring to.
That's a fantastic suggestion, Kristen, thank you. I also want to mention that our goal also is that each focus team has some sort of representation on the commission. We have that to varying degrees of success. So it's sort of a yes and. So yeah, I love that idea of trying to bring it to the focus teams, and let's also continue to keep trying to bring the focus teams into the commission so it's not felt hierarchical. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Kristen, we could come up with a process. I mean, it could be as simple as emailing out to the focus teams. The commission is looking at a theme for this year. What do y'all think? Would you like to suggest a theme or have it be open-ended? Sometimes suggesting a theme gets people's brains going. Any thoughts about the process for that?
This is probably not a good reservation to have, but I feel like we're already going into May, and is the timing right? By the time we actually are ready to roll out some of this stuff, will it feel like the years? I'm just going by so fast these days. I just wonder about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only one quarter in, and I'm new again, so I don't know how fast you can visualize it's actually being executed.
No, that's a really great point.
I would like to suggest to that point that we not be beholden to timeframes, maybe recognizing that any initiative, no matter how small or how big, is not going to get done in a 12-month period.
Right.
Period. So, if we say whatever the theme is that we want to tackle beginning now, recognizing that we're going to learn along the way, and that it'll either be built up or, a complete left turn for 2023, et cetera. So we give ourselves the space and grace to get it done right.
Yeah.
Rather than to, get it done before December 31st, 2022.
And it's almost like we need because I'm a little confused about what this all means too. And is it does it apply to all the focus teams? Does it apply to some of them? What are the sort of the parameters of this? It'd be nice to have a little kind of, I wouldn't say case study, but kind of an example of what this could look like. Just broad stroke example.
just thinking, and I'm using I statements, I think that it has the potential to apply to all the focus, teams, but that the focus teams would have the ability to opt in or opt out. I mean, perhaps if we were select veterans, maybe it isn't a priority for the Grow Well focus team, but it would be a priority for Age Well and I just blanked on the others, but Age Well, because we have a lot of senior veterans here in Ulster County. So I would
Yeah,
think.
See, this is funny, Troy. I was thinking.
Can I just finish?
Yeah, sure.
What I'm saying is I wasn't thinking that it was a top-down approach for Live Well Kingston to say, this is what we're going to do. It would be that this is an initiative that we want to develop and then see where it fits in with the focus teams, since that's where most of the heavy lifting occurs.
So what I'm saying is you're thinking population wise, and I was thinking more, my first thing that popped into my head is, maybe I'm completely wrong here. And my understanding of this is like you take a deeper dive into how like the intersection and or alignment of the focus teams around an area. So like, let's just say mental health. And then you go like, what's the impact of food and nutrition on mental health? What's the impact? What's the relationship to physical activity, parks and whatever? What's the impact of, I don't know I don't even know all the focus teams off the top of my head, like Heal Well. What is their approach to, mental health? I'm just, this is just an example. That's what I was thinking that you were thinking, but I don't know.
And Sarah, you put in the chat, do we do a pilot and sort of recognize that it's evolving, that it, in all of our work always is. So thank you for that reminder. One thought is that the veteran services was sort of coming up in our last few conversations. I'm sort of inclined to like, what if we gave that a shot and we sort of said to the focus teams, hey, veteran services has sort of come up in our commission. Do you all mind thinking about how your work might overlap with veteran services? And then sort of for next year, saying we did that pilot, is there a theme that's coming up for you that you'd like to try for next year? So that's one way, is to sort of do a pilot, have an example of a thing. And since I'm pretty much in all of the focus team spaces, I can present it in any way you'd like me to. And it could be as little as, would you consider having a discussion about it? To, it turns into something more. Thank you, Kristen. So we do see chat, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go, but again, I'll be mindful of the fact that there's a great deal of work being done by and on behalf of veterans.
Yeah.
And so, just having a conversation with some of the people, most notably Malia, since she's here, not here today, but available, and finding out, is that something, because I'm always mindful of the fact, like, are we helping, are we guiding, or are we just getting in the way? Mm-hmm. And so before we put a stake in the ground saying veteran services is what we want to do, we really think about, is that where we should expend our effort? That's all. Mm-hmm. And if Malia says, yes, have at it, then we can proceed, but I don't want to get too far down the road.
Sure. As much as I was proposing that, I'm also open to not doing that method. So, so if we went down that way, I'm happy to reach out to Malia and do a little bit of that assessment that I sort of had envisioned a little bit for this. That might be a good next step. And then,
and if she's clearly identifies that there's need, then it would make sense for us to explore it.
Right. But not only just need, but the other way around too, that our subcommittees are opportunities if veterans want to get involved, and do they know what we do?
Right.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about Play Well, And I'm thinking that some of our young people in clubhouses would like to learn how to fish and kayak. And are these activities that a veteran might want to volunteer their time and be a part of, you know, a Play Well subcommittee? So.
Or play well.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking similarly, like if the focus team, what are they called, focus teams? If nothing else, reaching out to our veteran services and making those connections. Here, we do this, you know, any vets that want to get involved, like that would be awesome. And it wouldn't be a heavy lift, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, like, what can we do for them? It's like, what can they do for, you know, these are many serve for the people who have served this country and, you know, just, so, yeah, I think it's mutual.
So any other thoughts about that? So I definitely, I feel like the other way to look at it also is that theme is it's one way to also think about our public outreach. So if we did a theme about mental health one year, we might also think about reaching out to mental health organizations to bring them in. So it's kind of it feels like it might be a tool to look at our work.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Any other thoughts on that? So my takeaways in this moment right now is that we're gonna reach out to Malia to do a little bit of an assessment about veterans, just even if that doesn't lead to anything else, can't hurt, like you said, to sort of know about the organizations, they're doing good work, even for my own education. And then we can have a little time to think about how we might want to go forward, either with a pilot or sending it out to the focus teams, but it feels like that's the next step, unless anyone else has any other suggestions. So thumbs up from Troy, and thank you. That's good. All right. Moving along, sort of last call for any other thoughts on that. Otherwise, we'll move on. Oh, computer is a little slow with everything that's going on here. I think that was most of it. I have a bunch of announcements and events that are coming up that I wanted to bring to all of your attention. So
I do as well, Emily.
Great. So if you don't mind, I'll go quickly through mine, and then, yeah, I'm also wanted to queue it up for anyone else who has any other announcements or communications that they'd like to bring up. So some of you know about these all. Ulster County Together for Mental Health. Heal Well is hosting a panel on mental health on May 5th at 5:30. It's a Zoom panel discussion. I'm holding a flyer here. Of course, you can't see it. But I believe the event is on our livewellkingston.org website, but here's our beautiful flyer. So I just want to bring attention to join us for that. If you join via Zoom, there's going to be some interactive features, so I highly recommend joining by Zoom. Also, we'll stream live on YouTube. Susanna, what do you want to add?
I just want to make sure the interactive activities are you don't have to talk and you don't have to reveal anything private or confidential. Just to make that clear. Some people might be like, I don't want to interact.
No. Thank you for that, for Susanna. Yeah, let me be more specific. There'll be some polling, some like, you know, you can add some chats to the event. We're experimenting with technology in a few places. So we're gonna try that out at our panel. So that's gonna be interesting.
And I think we've all been tasked, right, Katrina and Emily? I don't know if it's the commission or those of us on the planning committee to recruit 2 people to attend. Mm-hmm. So I have 1 person, possibly 2, but I'm kindly requesting that all of us, if you can, join for an hour on that day. It would be great support for the mental health panelists and for those of us on the team, of the planning team.
Thank you, Susanna.
How is that for a play?
Next up is the Ulster County Youth Bureau. The youth event topic is hope and healing. Katrina sent that on to me. Let's see, what else should I say? It's Friday, May 6th at 4 p.m. Anything else you want me to say?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Nina told me about it.
Then I'll say, yeah.
It's like a celebration of youth in the community. They're doing like a rooftop event. I think 100 youth or something like that. And they're giving them like gifts and all kinds of stuff. So, they have a mentoring program, Brother's Keeper?
My brother's keeper.
My Brother's Keeper, and I think they're gonna be recognizing their volunteers and stuff like that.
Right.
So something they're doing for, Mental Health Month in May.
Wow.
That's great. Integrated Ulster is doing the resilience film screening at the Kingston Library on May 10th at 6 p.m. Are you gonna be there?
I might not, because you're gonna be there, and so many people are gonna be there, yeah, so it's in collaboration with Live Well Kingston and some other local organizations. We're gonna do a screening of the resilience movie and then like a Q&A. Nice discussion.
It's a great film about how trauma informs our health later on. And I'll be there to try to bring attention to the fact of resources that we already have in our community. So I'm by no means an ACEs or trauma-informed expert,
There'll be plenty of
but
those.
there'll be
right?
there will be others there that will be.
What's
Yeah.
the date of this film screening? I'm trying to type as fast as you talk, my friends.
Sarah, down below the notes, I have this information already.
Oh, you do? Oh my gosh, I didn't even see it. Thank you. Good.
I'm reading off of it now.
Makes my life easier.
Yes. So that, I'll say it again, though, that's May 10th at 6 p.m. at the Kingston Library. I want to mention bike-friendly Kingston slow rides. They're kicking off May 5th from the YMCA. Tom Polk will be leading the first one. And then they will continue every first Thursday of the month until October. They're a great way to gain confidence on a bicycle, to explore our city. They're done at a slow pace, and the idea is that they're good for families, good for most abilities. To find out more about that, you can go to bikefriendlykingston.org. It's also for any updates or cancellations, especially for weather. So if there's thunderstorms or lightning, we often cancel. Please go to the Facebook events in the Bike Friendly Kingston group on Facebook. And that's the slow rides. Do you want to mention Arbor Day? You want me to? Yeah,
Take it away.
take it away. For Arbor Day, the city will be planting a fruit tree at Rondout Garden at 2 p.m. Everyone's welcome to come and see a tree get planted. And it's part of the tree commission, and they reached out to our department because of Grow Well to connect with Sasha down at the Rondout Garden. So it'll be a nice little tree planting ceremony, April 29th at 2 p.m. Oof, okay, I think that, Earth Fair, I'm forgetting Earth Fair.
May 14th.
May 14th, the city of Kingston is hosting the Earth Fair at Forsyth Park. What will be at Earth Fair, Marcia?
At Earth Fair, there are going to be activities for the kiddos. There's going to be some demonstrations for electronic bikes, and some other sustainability awareness with vendors. There are going to be sustainable, conscious food vendors, and Live Well Kingston will be tabling. That's me. And then just some other playstations for kids. It's, we're going to have some announcements made, and other activities will be emceed.
Music, food.
Music and food, and
Come for the root beer floats. So Keegan's root
Yes.
beer with Jane's ice cream, vanilla ice cream. That enough, come to the Earth Fair.
Amazing.
And then, I'll answer that in just a moment, Sarah. And then I'll be leading a slow ride at the Earth Fair at 2 p.m. So another chance for a slow ride on a weekend if you don't make it to the Thursdays. And Sarah, you're asking about the clean sweep, is that right? Oh, yeah,
That's May 7th.
Hey, do you know more? Or is that-
Yeah, so it's May 7th. It's basically from 8 to noon. I believe it's Anna Brett I get my note from. So she's running it. And it's just for organizations in Kingston who want to just clean up spring cleaning. So
And The land trust usually coordinates one. Scenic Hudson sometimes does.
Yeah.
Riverkeeper sometimes does. I'll do a little more outreach. I can't believe it's almost May. I will get something on the calendar from the Kingston Land Trust perspective, if not from just the Greenland perspective, and I will manage that one and get it going. I can't believe it's almost May.
Very good.
It's like 2 weeks and I know it's so close, so.
So those are all of my events, I think, at this moment. Thank you, Susanna. Thanks for joining us. Troy Ellen, you said you have announcements. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Because women make history all year round, Women's History Month is presenting a program in April. And it's WHMK celebrates military women. It's a panel of 6 veterans, women from the Navy, Coast Guard, Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, and the Women's Army Corps, a WAC. The Women's Army Corps was disbanded in 1978, and it is being moderated by our very own Malia Dumont. It is April 29th. It's a Facebook Live event. We are very fortunate to be getting tech support from Radio Kingston, so it'll actually work. And because they know what they're doing. And
I feel seen, Troy Ellen. I feel like you're calling me out.
No. I'm just saying, I'm calling me out too. You know, I was sitting there saying things like, okay, we'll Zoom and then we'll live stream to Facebook and everything. Do StreamYard, which, you know, automatic Facebook, and Facebook talks to StreamYard. And I was like, oh, it's a mitzvah. Anyway, it's April 29th. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. And for more information, you don't have to go to Eventbrite for registration or anything, because it's going to be Facebook Live on the Women's History Month Kingston Facebook page and also the Radio Kingston Facebook page. And just go to either one of those pages to find more information. And if you're interested, say interested. If you're going, click going and share with other people. Invite your friends, because it's Facebook Live. There are no limits. People in Hong Kong, if they want to be up that late, can watch it. So there's that. The second is on May 13th. We're holding a Make Shareholders Pay rally, May 13th at 5:30. And the we is Communities for Local Power, formerly known as Citizens for Local Power, has changed its name to Communities for Local Power, still CLP, because it's more reflective of the work that we're doing in the community. But the Make Shareholders Pay rally is at the corner of North Front and Fair Street, 5:30 p.m. on Friday, May 13th. It's a good way to spend a Friday the 13th. And it's really a part of a larger push statewide of debt forgiveness and overcoming debt arrears. And not, oftentimes utility companies, what they say is, okay, we'll do debt forgiveness. And then ratepayers end up paying exorbitant amounts over their normal bill to pay for these abatements. And what we're saying is that the shareholders of Central Hudson could probably find this money in their couch cushions. And I'm wondering if anybody's listening who's a shareholder, but in any event, and so that's what we're trying to do. And we encourage people to come out and make noise. You've all read the horror stories. You all know there's a state Senate investigation. The PSC is investigating. There is a lot of movement behind this, and now is our time to seize the day. And that's it.
I've got just one, I just threw up on the minutes. April 23rd is Community Earth Day celebration. That is this weekend. Scenic Hudson is holding that at Sojourner Truth State Park. So get out there and be part of that. And then Emily and I had a nice meeting last week, and we are going to be invigorating and activating the Kingston Greenland Community Committee. That's a mouthful. And we're going to hold some community committee meetings, hopefully starting from June on. We're going to bring some energy and put our heads together at the end of May. But I think, we'll do maybe some small things ahead of that, and just pop up cleanups or pop up walks or pop up whatnot. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. But that's that. The land trust itself is going to be having some Grove Street cleanup, some other land-based cleanups, potentially some things to activate our Wilbur property over there by the caves. So that's exciting. More to come. The board meeting is this evening in half an hour. So I will have more information on that. It's a long night of sitting at this computer. I'm gonna open all the windows, but that's all I've got.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else have updates, events? I just, on Friday, April 22nd, we're gonna have our bike repair clinics in the parking lot at the Y, from 3 to 6. So just if you are dusting off that bike to get it out for the season, not sure what you're looking at, bring it over. We do, light maintenance. If we can't do it there, we'll tell you, and we'll refer you probably to a local bike shop. On May 7th, we have our annual Kids Classic. It's actually a track and field day for grade school kids. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's a great day. Hopefully pray for nice weather. Those are the ones that are coming up in the near future. So, yeah.
Anyone else? Barbara, I don't know if you're still there, but Barbara, do you have any updates? Pause for a minute in case you're there. Oh, hey. Barbara, anything you want to add? Yeah.
No updates. I'm just taking notes here. Lots going on. Nice weather, getting outside.
All right, thank you. And I remembered one more thing to mention, and that is I often get asked about where to get a bike, and the New Paltz bike swap is coming up.
Oh, I love that.
May, I believe it's the first Saturday. It's the same day, I think, as the clean sweep, unfortunately.
And I believe it's classic.
Oh, no, this looks like it's old. But anyway, I think it's the first Saturday in May. It's at the New Paltz Community Center this year. In the past, it's been at the New Paltz High School. This year, it's at the community center. It is the best place to get I don't think there's ever any used ones, but it's the best place to get a used bike. The Fats and the Cats Bicycle Club can help fit you and find the right bike.
Awesome.
There's usually hundreds and hundreds of bikes. You can also bring things to sell. So if you have old bike gear, of course, donate it to Tom at the YMCA, but sometimes Tom, even he can only take so many kids' bikes. So bring it to the New Paltz Bike Swap.
That's a great place to get bikes.
Yeah.
If you like bikes, don't go there because you'll walk away.
You walk away with I have bought bikes and then brought them back into the future years and resold them.
Yeah.
And you see, sometimes there are bikes that maybe travel through the biking community. Yeah.
And all the gadgets that go along with it.
Yeah.
The tag-alongs and everything
Yes.
else. The Fats and the Cats do a great job. Yeah.
All right, last call for any announcements, communications, or anything else for the agenda that we're forgetting.
Thinking of New Paltz, if we want to stretch that far, there's in 4 sections of the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, there is a cleanup this Saturday. So I think they're going to be setting folks along those 4, just clean up that whole trail. They had some major trail damage, sad trail damage. I went over and saw it the other day with Christy. There's spots where it's like 3 feet deep. Some culverts failed. So that's in the Rodesdale section, but I think there's effort and need to clean up the Kingston section. So that is this weekend.
Oh, you're reminding me, I can just plug it now. The Kingston Women's Bike Fest is coming up May 28th. So I'll probably say that again at our next Common Council meeting, our commission meeting. But the Kingston Women's Bike Fest is also coming up. Thank you for that reminder, Sarah. You triggered it by reminding me of Kara from the Wallkill Valley Land Trust. All right. Any last thoughts? Otherwise, I can hear a motion to adjourn this meeting at 5:27.
I'll make a motion.
Heidi's making it. Do I hear a second? Sure. Katrina is my second. All in favor to adjourn tonight's meeting? Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Troy Ellen. I think I'm hearing ayes from you guys.
Yeah, aye.
Yep. All right. The meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all for calling in via Zoom. I'm going to end this call here. How you guys?
How funny. I don't think I've done a board meeting and all this yet.